right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Tuesday morning Inner Circle Live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today. So we are going to dive in. Hope everybody had a phenomenal weekend. Hope everybody had a great start to their week. We got a few things to get to today. So strap in. As always, let's turn off all the distractions, grab a pen and paper for notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. So over to Trading Economics has some news pop off overnight that we gotta talk about. So drop me one real quick in the chat if you can see my screen and if you can hear me okay. Perfect. Appreciate you. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Miss Kiki Brown, good to see you. Ain't seen you in a long time. Glad to see you. All right.
Thank you.
Hope everything is well.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. I'm glad.
Awesome. So let's talk about it. Australia. Reserve Bank of Australia unexpectedly raises the cash rate by 25 basis points to 4.1% in June after delivering a rate hike by the same margin in May, while keeping the door open for further tightening as inflation remains persistently high while wage growth picked up. Tuesday's decision brought a total of 400 basis point increase since May 2022, pushing borrowing costs to their highest level since April 2012 and defying the market consensus. For a pause. Policymakers viewed the upside risk to inflation, or to the inflation outlook in Australia as increased, mainly due to service price inflation. The board added that it will still seek to keep the economy on an even keel as inflation returns to 2 to 3% target, but the path to achieving that soft landing remains very, very narrow. Right? The committee said that it remains resolute in its determination to return inflation to target and will do what is necessary to achieve that. Change in tone, good people. Change in tone. So that is something that is interesting and we need to make sure that we're paying attention to. So what that means is we got some bullish action on the Aussie, right? That market didn't expect. Okay. So big news there. German factory orders unexpectedly fall. Then you had Eurozone retail sales unexpectedly flat, right? So you got some shift in the Eurozone data, right? Share slightly down on Tuesday, and you got the shift in Australia. So that's big news there. We want to keep our eyes on. Over to the calendar. We have today, yesterday we had ISM Services PMI for the United States come in at 50.3, which was below the expectation. You had President Lagarde speak yesterday as well. And she gave, it was more of a hawkish tone, but it was kind of mixed. She stated that inflation is still high, but they are starting to see some of the effects of the rate hikes start to materialize. So they're starting to see some of the data shift. So she balanced it pretty good, but she still did say inflation is high and they need to continue to stay on that path. So still hawkish on the euro due to those statements, but tone is starting to shift a bit. Later on today, 7:20, we got Governor Lowe speaking for the Reserve Bank of Australia, talking about that cash rate decision. And then we have GDP quarter over quarter coming in tonight at 9 p.m. for the Aussie. Going into tomorrow, we got rate statement for the Bank of Canada at 10 o'clock. That's going to be a big number for us to follow there. And that's kind of it for tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we have unemployment rates for the United States, CPI coming out of China, And then on Friday, we got employment change and unemployment rate for the CAD. All right. So a few things pop in there throughout the week. So give us some volatility that we like. So we want to make sure that we are we stay aware of that. All right. So that's it from a fundamental perspective. Did you guys see? Oh, actually, one more thing. I don't know if this is on here, but Saudi Arabia made the decision to cut rates over the week, cut production by 1 million barrels starting in July. 1 million barrels of oil. So that impacted the oil market a bit, and the Canadian dollar. Right, we saw some bumps there. So see if I can find it in here. It came through yesterday, but that was a decision that they made during the OPEC meetings, and that's what what the prince ultimately was telling everybody to be aware. So I don't see it here. Oh, the rally fades. WTI crude futures fell below $72 a barrel on Tuesday, erasing all the gains made during Monday's session after Saudi Arabia pledged to reduce output by another 1 million barrels per day from July at the OPEC Plus meeting held over the weekend. That will bring the country's production level to around 9 million barrels per day, the lowest in years, while Saudi Energy Minister Abdulaziz Salman says he will do whatever is necessary to bring stability to the market. However, analysts suggest that the new reductions may not have a significant impact as production levels in other OPEC member countries, including Russia, Nigeria, and Angola, remain high. Moreover, Russia made no commitment to reduce output further, while the UAE was allowed to raise output target for the next year. On the demand side, investors continue to assess economic and monetary policy outlook globally amid growing expectations that the U.S. Federal Reserve would raise rates further. Right. So oil did take back some of that move, but they're cutting those, and Russia is still producing at a high rate because on that side of it, they're looking at the income that they need as they continue to move through the war with Ukraine. Right. So they need the money, and they have this price cap that they're also dealing with as one of those sanctions that they received from the United States. So that's the oil piece, which we'll see some of those impacts as we go through the chart. So any questions on any of that, or did you guys see anything that you guys have questions on? Nope. All right, cool deal. So let's hop over to the charts. We will take a look at the dollar, and then we'll just we'll work on making our way through as many pairs as possible this morning. So over to the DXY. Boom. Dollar pressing down. Right. Dollar pulling back out of that break, out of that consolidation. Came into a 50% retracement on this 4-hour fib and started making its way back to the upside. So we'll watch. This daily level is going to be key for us, right? We talked about it last week. And it's still going to remain key to see if we stay below that level, continue making our way to the downside, or do we get a shift, and do investors start to price in that potential interest rate hike coming later in the month for the United States. So if we break above that level, we're definitely headed to the D extension. But if we stay below that, we could stay in a range and potentially break lower. All right. There is potential also to just come all the way back and retest this level that we previously broke, right, at 12,895. Okay. So we'll continue to monitor the DXY there with that data coming later in the week. So we'll watch it there. So that's the DXY. Back to the daily, just to look at it from a broader perspective. This is where we sit here, right? This is the crown pattern that's trying to figure it out, right? And here's the larger range that we could be playing in as we move through, right? 80-20 scenario here on the sub-fib, trying to make its way back down to that daily support level. So we'll see if we get another push to the downside or not, okay? And then we'll go from there. So that is the DXY. Let's hop over and take a look at I want to start with the Aussie pairs since we had that rate decision. We can see where price was pushed. So Aussie CAD on the daily, right? This is where we sit on the daily. We haven't gotten a 382 level here. Didn't make it there, rejected off the trend line, pressed down. Weren't able to make it to the D extension either. We got the flip here. We're coming back to retest this trend line. So this trend line is going to be key for us to follow to see if we stay below or if we break above and start making our way to the upside here. All right, so that's on the daily. There's an 80-20 there. We need a break of this trend line and even this resistance level in order to give us confirmation that this is going to continue to the upside. So got more work to do if that's going to happen. Coming down to the 4, we see here B boundary off the daily support level, and we're pressing to the upside. Okay, pressing to the upside. So we want to watch things here, right? Again, see if we're able to get a push to the upside, break this trend line that came off the daily. Right there, right? See if we're able to get a break there, right? But if price just tests that trend line, we could continue to the downside, right? Could continue to the downside here. Okay, so if we zoom out, there was a larger fib here, I thought. No, maybe I'm wrong. I thought there was a larger fib there, but that's the B boundary on the 4. Okay, pressing down, right? That's been the trend. We'll see if we get that rejection off the trend line there. Coming into the 1, this is where we sit on the 1 hour. Okay, 618 retracement. This 80-20 scenario here, shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. Boom, beautiful move to the upside. That last push got us there, 618, 109 pips to the upside there. Hopefully, folks were able to take advantage of that. So now we're looking at, all right, what happens next, right? We're in a deep retracement zone on the 1. We're at a 382 on the 4. We haven't been able to really push to the upside on the daily, right? So what happens next as we continue to move through? That's going to be the question, okay? With that 25 basis point increase, that could potentially change things. But we also have to keep in mind that tomorrow we have the cash rate for the Canadian dollar, right? So we got 2 commodity currencies here. So we could potentially see at least price pull back, something like this, right? Strong move to the upside. We'll see if we get at least a pullback here, right? Maybe could do more depending on what the Bank of Canada does tomorrow. But if we run a sub fib here to the upside, that 618 retracement gave us a fresh B boundary, right? So if you are bullish on the Canadian dollar, more bullish than the Aussie, right? This is what your setup will look like here, right? Stop outside the A, matching the extension is your take profit level, right? So price moved into our sweet spot. We know the trend has been to the downside. 63 pip stop loss, and you got 183 pips to the downside as your take profit potential there. All right, so we want to watch to see how things transpire, see what happens tomorrow, but we could see price turnover and press to the downside if the Bank of Canada also defies the expectation, which is a pause, and increase their rate another 25 basis points. We'll see. That hasn't been the narrative yet, but that wasn't the narrative with the Reserve Bank of Australia either, right? So something to watch here, depending on your bias, right? and see if we get price to turn over and press to the downside, or will we break to the upside and get back long. All right. So in between, my bias on this is bearish. We'll watch to see what happens though. All right. Questions on the Aussie CAD? No? All right. Cool deal. And the Aussie Swiss. So here we are on the Aussie Swiss. Take these smaller waves out for a second. Boom. All right. That's the larger fib there. All right. Strong move down. Double bottom type scenario, trying to make its way to the upside. So we're coming back to this level at 65.77. Excuse me. 65.77. So we want to see if we're able to stay below this level, right? Does price stay below this level, or do we break and start making our way to the upside here? All right. So that's what we're looking for there. Okay. Coming down to the 4. This is where we sit on the 4, right? Coming back to that 786 retracement level that we looked at previously is still intact here, right? I thought I moved that, but that level is still intact to the upside. So we want to see, do we get price to push to this level, and does that level then hold for us, right? Originally, we were looking for price to get here, and it didn't, just turned over at the 618 level. Now we're pressing back to the upside. We're coming into that 618 level again. See if we get another push to actually test that daily level. Okay, so we're back to this scenario here. Okay, was a nice long move to the downside. Now we're getting a pullback. We'll see if this holds to then be able to get back short. Okay, if that level gets broken, we're going to take out that A. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so as we come down to the 1, this is what we look like on the 1. All right, similar to that 4, there was an 80-20 move there. Boom, 786 retracement. All right, so what I did was, this is that zone that we originally had drawn. 35 pip stop loss is outside that A. Okay, so what I'm looking for, I ran sub fibs off the low, right? Looking for this D extension to get hit. We push down to this 382 retracement level, looking for the D extension to get hit in line with that daily resistance level. And then we'll look for a swing high to form, and then we'll have an opportunity to potentially get short and come back down to the downside, right? Depends on how the rest of the week goes, but that's potentially what we're looking at there. Okay. Now, if that level gets broken, then we'll look for price to continue to rise. Okay. Questions on the Aussie Swiss? Am making sense? All right. Cool. Now to the Aussie Yen. Thought we were going to get a push to the downside here, and we did not. Price rose, but daily, right? Here's our daily fib. 50% retracement, trying to push to the upside. We're coming back to, or we came back to this weekly level at, what's that, 93.030. Okay. Does this level hold again as it did here and as it did here? Or do we finally break it and continue to go long? Okay, so that's what we're looking to see. All right, so all these Aussies got pushed back into key levels. Okay, so here we are. We got a daily level just above as well, just inside the D extension. On the 4, we got a 618 retracement. Are we able to break above this level? Strong bullish move. Not able to break. Pulling back now but we could be in for another push to the upside here. Okay. We know Japan hasn't changed anything. So overall, right, we've been relatively long on any of the yen crosses. So we could see this push up and get to that D extension. Okay. So we'll watch that closer to see what happens. Coming down to the 1. Here we sit, right? We had a shallow retracement pushing to the 118 and 127 zone. Price started to turn back over. And then we got that news that pushes to the D extension. So this one did not play out for us here. 38 pip stop loss. Now we'll monitor to see what happens next. All right. Oops. We'll monitor to see what happens next. Got stopped out there. So push back into that level. Fresh AB boundary here. We're already pushing down to the 382, so we could likely push into this next zone at that daily level, 93,352, right? So we could, we did come short of that 382. So if we get a push up like this, then we could potentially reassess, right? And see if we get that retracement on this next cycle. We'll see, right? We'll be patient and wait for price to do whatever it's going to do, right? Didn't get you at 382, so we'll see what happens there. Okay, but that's what I'd be looking for if I'm looking for short opportunities. If the narrative at towards the end of the week changes at all, I'll look for price to come back down to the downside if that occurs. All right, I'll look for the 80-20 there. Okay. Questions here on the Aussie yen. No? Okay. So right now there is a more of a risk on sentiment, right? Your commodity currencies are pushing to the upside, and not a lot is happening with your safe haven currencies, right? So price is pushing against those. So that Aussie Swiss could ultimately push to the upside as well. Didn't look at this, but the VIXI is dropped super low, right? 14.93 volatility index based off of the S&P 500. So this is what people look at. They call it the fear index. So we want to see it's low right now, right? So we're in more of a risk on environment. So we could see the Aussies continue to push to the upside, and we'll see what happens as we continue to move through the week. But that's where we sit technically. Okay. All right. Cool. And then the Aussie dollar. Nope, Aussie NZD, sorry. Aussie NZD first. This is another one, right? For that rate statement. Thought we would get a push to the downside. We did not. Coming here to the daily. We see we broke above this key level here. 109,281. Strong push to the upside. We'll see if on the lower times frames we get a retest and then a continuation long. Okay. Aussie, New Zealand, similar region, similar trade partners. That's the story there. So could see price push back to the top of this range here at 108.43. Okay. So we'll look at it lower, but double bottom there, push to the upside. So we'll look and see what price does when it gets there. Coming down to the 4, here was a setup here that I was looking for. Had the shallow retracement, pushing to the 118 and 127 zone, 48 pip stop loss, price pushed to hit the D extension, right? And that's that break above that weekly level there, okay? So we'll see what happens. But on this one, because of that strong push there, I'm just looking for a retest of this previous resistance level and then look for price to rise to that next zone, okay? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for there. Coming down to the 1, you do have price hovering in that 118 and 127 zone, but because of that news, like I said, we could only see something like this. That was a strong bullish candle there, right? So we could see just a retracement like that and then see price continue to rise with the momentum of the Aussie. Okay? That making sense? Okay. All right. Cool. So yes, we have an 80-20 scenario. However, we really want to be cautious because we know the Aussie is really, really strong here. Right. Okay. Cool. Now to the Aussie dollar. There we go. Aussie dollar pushing to the upside, right? What we've been waiting on. Let's see. There we go. That's our larger fib there. Right? 8-6 retracement. Price has been making its way to the downside. Okay. So we zoom in here. We broke this previous level, coming back and retesting. Coming back and retesting there. Okay. Starting to get a reaction. We'll see what happens, but stalling at that daily resistance level. Coming down to the 4. This is what we have. Just short of that 618 zone, pushing into that daily resistance, which we've been waiting on, right? Boom. So now it's just a matter of does this level hold or not, right? We know the dollar could potentially pull back a little bit more. And if that does happen, right, we could see this continue to rise. Now, if the dollar makes it swing and pushes to the upside, we're going to be looking for price to start making its way back down, right? Overall, we're bearish, but we're in a down retracement zone on the lower time frames. So this retracement zone could potentially extend a little bit higher and get us to 67,920, right? If the dollar continues to pull back a bit, all right? So that little details that we want to pay attention to, right? And those if then statements as we're sitting at some of these key levels on these Aussie pairs, okay? So coming down to the 1, right? This was the original trade setup, shallow retracement, 118 and 127 zone, and we got liftoff. All right, so we took out the A here, okay? That moved to the upside out of the zone. TP1 was 93, TP2 was 128, right? So, boom, we took out the A, hit that daily level. Now we're pulling back. So, yeah, those are inactive. So this is our capital fib here. The extension achieved on the push. New fib looks like this. All right. So again, it's a matter of do we stay below this level? Got really, really choppy here. Stay below. Are we able to continue to stay below this level is the question. Right. Or do we turn over and press higher? Okay. So this one, I don't have anything right now. I'm waiting to see what happens at this daily level. Okay. So that's where we sit. It was a beautiful move to the upside. Now we wait to see if we get any more developments here. Okay. Or if we get anything to come out of the United States and that DXY turns over. Okay. Questions on the Aussie dollar. All right. Cool. Cool. Euro Aussie. Daily 80-20. Shallow retracement 118, 127 zone. Boom. Right. So now we're coming into this daily support level here. Right. We want to see, do we get a retracement and then a continuation, or does price continue just to make its way to the downside here? Right. So again, pushing into another key level, and we want to see how the market responds at that key level. Okay. Coming down to our 4. There's the setup out the 618 zone. All right. So strong move to the downside. Currently up 382 pips. All right. So here I'm going to adjust my stop. I'm going to bring that just above that beat boundary. I'm going to put stop there, previous resistance. Boom. Right? So price moving to the downside. Let's see if we get a pullback and a continuation here. Okay. We'll look at it on the lower time frames, but beautiful move to the downside. Definitely want to see price get to the TP level, but we got some work to do, and we could see a pullback first before we see that continuation. Okay. So now as we come down to the one, we talked about on Saturday, potential 80-20 scenario here. Right? Shallow retracement at 118 and 127 zone, but just ran to the downside and ran to that daily support level. Right? So we didn't get the confirmations there of that move up. And now this is where we sit. Oops. There we go. Okay. Now we wait for a reset and see if we get that pullback. So if you're not in the short, right? If you're not in this short, either you can play the new AB boundary when it pops in, which will look like this. Right? Play the reversal, or we can look to see if we get a high price pullback and give us an opportunity to get short. Continue that move to the downside. What you mean, Joe? What happened?
Man, I closed this trade out because I said, I'm just gonna do 100 pips. That's it. And I let it close out. And I basically, I guess just the greedy in me, I could have kept it going.
I dig it. I dig it. I dig it.
It's like I'm not mad. I'm like, dang, this was the one.
It was a nice move for sure.
Yeah, because I was in that I was at the top.
Yeah. But the other side of it, right, is you had a target and you hit that target.
I did.
Right?
I did.
You hit your target. Walk away. Right? You hit your target. And that's the beautiful thing. Right? And so now as you continue to evolve, right, you'll have some of those that you hold. But like Benny said last week, right, our number one goal or our number one role is to be a money manager. Right? So you preserve your capital. You hit your goal. You took your profit. Boom. We out. Right? Now, if we get a pullback, you have an opportunity to enter again. But number one goal is to preserve capital. And you did that. You made your money. You hit your target. Most people don't have the discipline to do that.
And that's what I'm redirecting my mindset to, be okay with it.
I know it's a struggle.
I'm like, I'll sit up here like, well, maybe I should have waited till it got closer to the resistance level before I, but looking at the news and everything, and the way I kind of did second guess myself. So, lesson learned. But yeah, happy.
You got it. Like Ben always says, you're in the arena, and you were able to make some money while you were in the arena. So we'll celebrate it. So that's what it is, right? So push to the downside. So we're going to wait to see if we get a retracement here, right? See if we get a high price and then retest some of this previous consolidation here. And then see if we get opportunity. Get back short and make our way to that D extension down at 159. Yeah, 159 level. Okay. So any questions or any other questions on this Euro Aussie?
But on this note, I'm just waiting for this to die down because I know that they boosted rates, but the last time they boosted rates, it went on for like about 2 or 3 days, and then it just boom and just went down. So I wanted to see if they was gonna do that move because I made money off my A chef, but I left for a runner, and it's probably just like about 10, about 20 in the drawdown. But I think they gonna. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm guesstimating.
No, I feel you though, right? Because what did it do? It pushed it all into key levels.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm with you on, do we see price turnover again in the near term?
Because we never did hit the extension on the 1 hour, right?
Mm-hmm. Never hit it, and so you're in this range now, right? You came back to the top of the range. So from a range perspective, do we push back down? And then B, is there a catalyst that comes along that turns price over at that key level?
Okay.
Right. So I feel you in looking at it from that perspective, and in the back of my mind, I am too. Right. So trading what I see, allowing my trades to run where they're going to, but also keeping in mind that, all right, will there be a catalyst? Not jumping the gun, but waiting to see what transpires to see if something turns over and pushes us back more into a fear-based environment.
Okay.
We'll see. But yeah, I feel you on that thought though. Okay. All right. So let's see if we can have things continue moving. All right. We'll see if we have things continue moving there. All right. So this is your Aussie. Let's take a look at the pound Aussie. This is another one. Right. Well, this one looking for price to continue pushing to the upside. Right. Push down to this daily support level. Boom. Boom. Right. So we're sitting here, we're getting a reaction now. So the question is, we didn't push into the 118, 127 zone. Okay. Question is, do we get something like this? Right. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Coming down to the 4, this is where we are. We got to the 382, but we stalled in this 118 127 zone, broke back down. This was that 4-hour level we're talking about on Saturday, right? Broke below it too, retested it and continued down. So now, coming into this daily level, what happens here? Strong move to the downside. So with this action, we could say, right, when we see these impulsive moves, we know market likes to take back some of that. Okay, we can look for that, right? But overall, has our narrative changed on these two currencies? For the Aussie, yes, but has it changed for the pound? Not yet, right? Still bullish on the pound. Okay, we haven't had any evidence to change that. So could we get a bounce here off this daily support level and give us a rise? And maybe because now both of these currencies have somewhat of some strength, could we see ourselves in a potential range and maybe see a head and shoulders pattern play out here? Right? So I'm waiting on this one, right? We broke below that daily level, and that 4-hour level, broke below the cloud as well. The cloud is bearish, so we're down, but we will at least get a pullback, right? But the question is, will it just be a pullback, or will we get a full reversal to head to the D extension? That's the question. Okay. So coming down to the 1, it's a crazy move, right? Crazy move. But this is where we are. On the 1, we had that 618 retracement. We were riding nice up quite a bit, right? Got up 500 pips. Took back every bit of that 500 pips. So now, do we turn back over and press back to the upside? Or do we break this support level and head down? Okay. So again, Joy, to your point, right? these levels are interesting in how prices moved, and they've been some impulsive moves. So do we see price turnover in these zones? That's the question, right? We're at a deep retracement. We're in our sweet spot. We still have a bullish bias on the pound, but the Aussie has picked up some strength. What happens next is the question, right? So let's sit and watch this one to see what transpires. We want to see, we need a catalyst in order to move this in the opposite direction, but we also want to get some confirmation. Also, cloud breaks, trend line breaks, reversals to the upside to be able to take a move back here, right? I still have this one position. I have multiple positions in here. I still have this one sitting with the stop loss outside the 8 boundary. I want to see, right, if price does ultimately make its way to the D extension there over the long term. All right, so that one I'll be holding for a while, but this is where we sit. Okay, so let's watch to see if we get price to reverse.
See, that's why the interest rate was unexpected, because they was like, it's been boring for the last few days. Let's create some volatility and get to these spots real.
Kind of. Kind of. Support resistance on the 1. There you go. Yep. So you got some levels here on the 1 hour to break through, right? And on the resistance side, you got some as well. Okay. Yep. There was a break, right? And that was that cloud break, that 4 hour support level that we had here. Broke that, retested, and continued to the downside. Now we're coming into this daily support level. Okay. Now that's that. You could have if it met your rules, right? So it all depends on what you have set. Do you have rules that if you get a 618 retracement and price stalls in the 118 and 127 zone and turns over, you can still sell that, right? So you want to make sure that you're following your rules and you're consistent in that, and not just taking it because it's fancy, right? You get to a point where you're just taking trades at any random point. You won't be able to gain consistency that way. So if it met your rules, yes, you definitely could have. Boom, there's a daily, Michelle. So we could be in for a deeper retracement here if we break this level, but we'll see if we stay in this range for a bit before that. All right, but if this daily level breaks, then all bets are off. We're headed down. All right. Questions on the pound Aussie? Or any other questions? No? All right, cool deal. So let's see if we get price to push back to the upside, even if it's in the short term. Right, there's a sub fib running down, right, just shy of that D extension there. Okay. All right, now let's see. Take a look at the pound CAD, because we also had the CAD pick up some strength. So here, right, pushing down. We got a 382. We're on the move to the upside, broke back below that level, and we're headed down. Okay, headed down, daily support 165, 238. Come down to the 4. This is a scenario here on the 4, right? And price is diving. Ooh-wee. I might get stopped out on this one. So, but shallow retracement, 118 127 zone, beautiful 80-20 to the downside. Came into the 618 retracement zone, started to get a reversal, broke down. Okay, so now we're coming into the 786 retracement level here. Okay, so we'll watch to see what transpires. All right, we'll see what transpires. Do we break that A boundary in this daily support, 165, 238? Or at some point, do we get price to turn back over and make its way back to the upside. Okay. Right now the CAD is running pretty strong. Okay. CAD is running pretty strong. So pressing down deeper into the zone, and we'll see what happens here. Okay. We'll see what happens. But that was the original move. And right, if we get price to turn over, right, that'll play out in our favor, right? And we'll just adjust our stop loss like this. I mean, our take profit level if price is able to turn over there. Okay, so coming down now to the, yeah, that wasn't it. Boom, down to the 1. Similar look to the 4. Okay, pressing down, approaching that 786 retracement zone there. So we'll see if we get price to stall or if we continue pressing to the downside here. Okay, that's where we are. All right, pressing down. Things are running against the pound a bit, which is okay. All right, so that's where we say we'll see if we get price to turn over at some point. Okay, questions on the pound CAD? Nope. All right. Yep, cool. So that one is there. Let's take a look at some of these CADs. CAD Swiss. Try to push to the upside, stalled a bit, try to press down to retest that daily level that we broke through. Right now, we're looking for price to continue pushing to the upside here. Right, next level 69,336. Okay, 80-20 scenario here on the daily that we've been watching for quite some time. Right, so let's see if we can continue pushing to the upside there. Coming here to the 4. Similar look to the daily. All right, trying to figure it out and trying to get bullish here. Okay, see that pull back there. Let's see if we're able to push to the upside there. And this is what it would look like on the 1. All right, so in the short term, we do have an 80-20 scenario here. Right, shallow retracement at 118 and 127 zone. We'd have to break back below this daily level in order to get a deeper retracement here. So watch this one closely. If you're looking for the short opportunity, just watch closely. You need that break in order to get price to push deeper there. All right, so just be aware of that. Okay. But that's the CAD Swiss. Overall bias is long. Could be in for a pullback and then looking for price to continue to the upside. Okay. Questions here on the CAD Swiss? No? All right. CAD Yen. Daily, right? Finally pushed into our 382 off the 80-20. Took its time, but we made it there. So now, do we get a pullback of any sort? Okay. Coming here to the 4. There's our 80-20, right? Didn't get it. We haven't gotten a retest of that daily level yet. Okay. But in this 118 and 127 zone on the 4, boom, push in there, right? Retesting this B boundary. So that's going to be the thing, right? Are we able to break back below this B boundary and continue heading to the downside on this one? That's the question, right? We got a bullish CAD right now with that rate statement coming tomorrow. So potentially not, right? This could just be a break of that level and a retest. Okay. So now as we come down to the 1, now we come down to 1, right? We had a shallow retracement looking for 80-20 scenario here. Didn't get it. but we got price to turn over here, and now we're pressing back down to the downside, retesting those levels. So we could continue bullish here. Okay, we didn't get the pullback. We could continue bullish here. Okay, we're retesting that level now. So that one didn't play out. Let's see what happens here. See if we can get back long in favor of the CAD. Right, this is oil pulling back. That's pulling back too. Okay, so that's where we are on the CAD-yen 80-20 scenario here. Broke down because we had Saudi Prince make some decisions. All right, so see if we get back bullish on the CAD-yen. Questions on the CAD-yen? $104 to $11. Okay, right around this range here. I dig it. Right, just watch that closely. Right, watch that support level. Right, just hold in there right now. So watch that level. If we stay above that, we could make that next push to the upside here. And then we were looking at this level at 105,758 as the next zone of interest. Okay. Cool. All right. Questions on the on this CAD-yen? All right. Cool. Cool. And there was another I wanted to look at. NZD. Here we are on the NZD dollar, right? 80-20 scenario, shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone. That should be wider. Right? Slowly making its way there. Okay. Strong push. We got a nice pullback. Made that nice wave here. Now we're looking to continue to the upside. So let's see if we're able to get there if the dollar continues to pull back. Okay. So that one's on the move to the upside there. Got some levels to break through, but we could ultimately make our way there. I'll take that out. Okay. So that's the NZD dollar, 80-20 move to the upside. I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly here. NZD CAD. Talked about this one, right? Here's the 4. Here's the 80-20 scenario. Shallow retracement, daily support, 118, 127 zone. Let's look for a shift. All right. It's been posted in the Discord for a few days now, right? So if you got to go back and look at it, go back and check it out. But here we are in that zone, starting to try to press sideways a bit. So let's see if we get that reversal here. Okay. So that's the 80-20 on the 4 and the NZD CAD. This daily level is going to be key. If we get some of that bullish narrative for Canada, we could potentially break that support level, right? So also in looking at this, right, also add in your confirmations. Okay, add in your additional confirmations. So as we drop down to the 1 here, look at it from a broader from a shorter time frame perspective, right? This is what we're looking at on the 1. Biases to the downside, D extension is there. Okay, so potentially, right, if we do break that support level, we could just push down to that D extension on the 1. Okay, and then see our reversal happen. So that could happen, right? That could happen. So we'll watch that closely to see if we identify that after tomorrow, right? Or sometime tomorrow. Okay, so just be aware of that. That D extension on the 1 is here. And we could see another push to the downside to get there. Okay, now I'll move this up to the 4 so we can see it in line with our 80-20. Oops. There we go. All right. So that's what it looks like. Questions here on the NZD CAD. Okay. So don't be surprised if we get one more push to the downside to get there to that 1 hour D extension. Okay. All right. And then the NZD Swiss, and we will wrap it up here. Double bottom scenario. Trying to make our way to the upside. That's a larger fib here. We got a 50% retracement, but this daily support level held twice, and we're pushing long. Okay. So if we pull these out and just look at these sub fibs, smaller waves, shallow retracement, didn't quite get to the 118, 127 zone, but pressing to the upside. Okay. Pressing to the upside here. We'll see if we're able to get to our take profit levels. We come down to the 1, and this is what that looks like on the 1. 80-20 scenario. Shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, making those higher highs and higher lows. All right. Take profit 1 is there, 105 pips. All right. So let's see if we can continue staying bullish here, get to the sub fib B extension, and that at least that TP1 here. Okay. So moving in our direction nonetheless. Questions here on the NZD Swiss. Questions on anything that we covered this morning. Still live on this one? Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. No questions? All right, so look, good people. Listen, all right, continue to stay patient. Continue to follow your rules. Continue to wait for the confirmation. Today will be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with my awesome partners. Peace.
Thank you.